Video tutorial sweater Miraggio. We start knitting our sweater. We knit 15 rows of elastic 2 by 2. You can do more, it will be longer for the neck, it will also be beautiful. Then we started knitting with a pattern like this. And you will have a video on how to knit a factory set in an additional video. How to knit this particular pattern. The sequence is also beautiful in a circle without any steps. You will also see in the additional video. Then you will watch the continuation in the main video tutorial for this sweater. We start knitting. I knitted an elastic, knitted 15 rows, made a factory set of loops. You can still see, I did not take the extra thread. This is how I will show you, of course I will tell you what it is. Yarn, I hear it's so fluffy, made a factory set of loops. You'll watch this in the additional video, then knitted. Made the necessary number multiple of 4. Because we have a 2 to 2 elastic band, then knitted 15 rows. And now I need to start knitting the pattern, I'll explain to you further. And we have a multiplicity of loops specifically for the elastic band, since it is knitted 2 and 2. 2, 2 front, 2 back, multiplicity 4, we need to dial the number of loops. Of course you will have everything written, but I'll explain to you again, the multiplicity of loops is 4. And our pattern has a multiplicity of loops of 3. And if you dial, for example, 120 loops, and it will fit you, this is the number, and for the calculation of the fold, because 120 where is divisible by 4, so will be the multiple of 3. Because the pattern 120 is divisible by 3. We knitted our elastic band, then I will untie this elastic band. Well, and you can have an extra thread, and here, I knit the last loop. This is a marker so that our row doesn't get lost, with 4 needles. And now I need to go to 5 needles, I knit 1 row with 5 needles in. If you have the number of loops of the typesetting, well, your elastic band is not the typesetting edge, because it is half as small. And your elastic band coincides with the next loops of the pattern. Then you don't add anything, just knit the row with the front ones. And then we start knitting our pattern, if yours does not coincide. For example, in your size you have the number of loops of your elastic band 102. For example, this is how it will be for me now. We will knit the next row. On 123 loops a multiple of 3. Then we need to increase by 3 loops, that is, approximately 120 by 3 there are 40 loops. Added a thread, 40 loops added a thread, now I will show everything, so we take our marker. Because it will interfere when we switch, then we will need it. Be sure to take knitting needles 5, we knit 5. And then switch to knitting needles 5 and 5 later, and just a row of facial loops. We knit 1, 2, 3, 4, and just switch knitting needles 5, or do not add. If in your size the multiplicity coincides, and just knit all the loops. Facial, now I will knit 40 loops and show how I do the addition. I knitted 39 loops, and here I have a front loop. I go down to the outfit below, I just add a loop. It will look very nice, all front. And I knit this front, like this, it won't even be visible there. That's all, then I just knit all the loops as front. I get to about the 80th loop there. If you need to add 6 loops, then you divide by 6 and add in equal parts there 120 divide by 6 and add the necessary number. So that you get, for example, if your neck is knitted with 120 loops, you Need 126 for the pattern, and to continue the sweater, then you type 126 loops. These are additional 6 loops. You do this in this row, all the gathering. Increase the loops. I won't show you further, I understand. You can increase them in some other way, it's not very important. If you increase the single crochet there, it won't be there either. Just in the next row you will need to knit this hole. So that you don't forget, add it in any way you want, immediately twisted there. And here, that is, you just need to knit an even number of loops so as not to forget. That's what was the beginning here. Here we add, I have already knitted, I'll show you again, on dark yarn. I went down to the row below and just added a loop from the bottom. That's all, and then at the end, before the end, when I switch, I'll add a third loop, and I will have 123 loops in this size. Here are 120 for the neck, elastic, and 123 loops. That's all, and the next row we start knitting the pattern with you. And we added the required number of loops, all 5 spokes have been switched. And then we hang a marker and start knitting our pattern. And I won't show the pattern in detail, because you have an additional video from the very beginning, how to start knitting this pattern. But let me remind you that this pattern is made in such a way that we remove the first loop. Knit the next 2. Pull these 2 loops everywhere. Like this, make a yarn over and then remove the loop in the same way. Knit, knit. Remove. Like this, and make a yarn over. I just want to note that the density of this pattern should be light. Don't tighten it too much, you should have such good holes. To make it look really nice, we take it off like this, don't pull this thread. Knit, knit, this one. Redo it, like this, and make a yarn over again. That's it, that's how you knit. Go on and watch a new video. How to knit this pattern, and knit the required number of stitches according to this pattern, how many you have in the description. Knit, and then I'll get back to you, when we switch knitting needles 5 and 5. I'll add that here you should get like this. You'll see how to do it, we do, and here I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, for example. 9, you can have more or less, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 5, you knit with knitting needles, 5, and then we move on to knitting the pattern with knitting needles 5 and 5 we increase. That is, our holes here are a little smaller. Here a little larger, and then I will show you further how to increase the loops, how to knit the pattern, how to continue knitting the sweater. That is, you knit for now this amount, that is, I have 9 repetitions here. But you read in your description the amount you need for this pattern, how many you need. Knit, I knitted the required number of our rows. Your description will say how many you need to knit with knitting needles. We knitted 5 with knitting needles, and now we switch to knitting needles. 5.5 we switch to knitting needles 5.5 and then continue to knit our cut, as we knitted it for the required amount. Our rows, we continue independently, we meet when you have already knitted the required number of rows of the pattern. We knitted our pattern for the required number of rows. Now I will show it on gray, it will be better visible there. And I will knit, and we will do additions of loops after our pattern. Here it is better visible on this color, here we have knitted our pattern. And after that we will now do additions with you, and we will do them. Here in each of our 3 loops, make additions, and it is like this. This is a yarn over, we do not close it, it remains a hole for us, but it is interesting. It is stretched in the product itself and it is practically not visible. But if it expands like this on the shoulders just fits. Then this expansion looks beautiful. We knit the last row. I have left to knit all the loops with the front according to the pattern. And here I knit the last yarn over. So I put on our marker. I leave it, it can be long like this, it's okay, then everything will tighten up. And then we start knitting in. Adding our loops between these loops. We do it here. Then 1, 2, 3. And here between these loops, where we added the roll before, we just do it. But we don't knit our pattern. 1, 2, 3, and thus we increase our loops. 1, 2, 3, due to the fact that we increase one loop every 3, now we have a multiplicity. Will be not 3, but 4, and this will be necessary for us to knit our card pattern. And we add 1, 2, 3. And here right between these two loops we add a yarn over. And so we knit to the end of the row, knit independently in a circle. 1, 2, 3. 3 and we make a yarn over, we don't tighten it, we knit very, very lightly. Here I am finishing my row. I make the last circular yarn over with the addition of loops. And the next row we simply knit all the loops with the front stitches. Including our yarn overs, here is our yarn over. We knit it, front, front, front. Knit the yarn over with the front stitches, so we will get such holes. But it will look very nice in the overall mass. So we knit all the loops with the front stitches to the end. We don't knit the yarn overs with the christening stitches. But we just leave the holes like this, and this is how it will look. Having knitted the row with the front stitches, you will get something like this, that your yarn overs. I will knit and right now I will not tie to the end. So that my marker does not come off, but you tie. And at the beginning of the row we will begin to form our jacquard visor. It will look like this. And we will add a diagram to it in a written description. And now I will carefully tell you how to knit it and we will move on. Here from graphite to white, we take our white thread to work. I decided to add this golden lurex because I see a lot of yellow here. It will be cool and white kidmocker, or rather even milky. And now we will combine all this and add to the black. First I will tie to the end of our row. All the loops are front. And we knitted with you on needles 5 and 5. And now it is to jacquard that we will switch to knitting with needle 6. Jacquard, we knit that piece of jacquard with needle 6 so that we have a very good density, and then we will switch again to needles 5 and 5. I have needle 6, here I leave it as I had 4.5. And then we continue to knit in a circle and add a light thread. I carefully show you the pattern. Here is the first one we made with you. This way it will be better visible. Here we added an addition here, and here we have 3 loops. And this one we knit in black, 3 loops and that one black. We do it, well, here is our hole not on. Yarn over, and we do the last one here. Well, now I will show you everything from the beginning of the row. How we do it, so we take, put on the marker and look. Here we don't have a yarn over, and the last one was a hole. So this loop we will knit light. So at the beginning of our circular row we knit 3 of our loops. As it is. Also, maybe you got it wrong here. Then you can orient yourself. What exactly? Here is the hole. That we added the double crochet, it's here, we need to make it here. In the middle, so we take our light thread, then we continue to knit with 2 threads. As we always knit jacquard, if you don't know how, then repeat after me. We take 1 knitted loop, leave it. Take our black thread and knit. One, 2, 3. Of our main color, then we take it loosely. Don't tighten it, look, so it matches. We knit 1, and so we knit through 1, 1, 3, 1, 3, and knitted black. Again 3 black loops, check that it matches. We take a white thread and a white one, like this. The thread comes out like this from the back. Since we have a small number of loops, we don't need to catch it there for anything, let it be like that, it looks beautiful. And then we continue to knit 3. And 1. Stretched so that it slides nicely, again. Three and 1, that's it, and we do this until the end of the row. Knit alternately, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3 and use carefully. As I showed, so that everything matches like that, so that it is beautiful, knit everything until the end of the row. 1 white, 3 black and meet. I knit my row to the end, you see, 3. 3, 1, 3, 1. At the end of the row you have 1 light, 1 left. Just like we knitted with you, we started with 3 black ones, our last loop is light. White, we will mark it as white black. Then we leave the white thread. We do not knit with it, we change our marker and we start knitting the entire next row we knit with a dark thread. We continue to knit all the loops in a circle we knit very slowly. Do not tighten. We need to have a very nice, like this, mobile knitting. Knit all the loops with the front, knitting on. Our light loops like this in a circle with the front. The next second row, then we had the first one, where we knitted 1 white. 3 black ones, the first, this is the next. The second row in a circle of the yoke, we continue to knit all the loops in black. This is how I knit my second row with black threads. Dark, dark threads. And now I drag the marker. And here we look carefully, and then we start working. Here we had light, here we have light. And between them here we will have this light loop. So we knit 1 loop with you in a circle and then we move on to knitting our light loop and knit it with the front. Like this, then like this. Just like we knitted the first row, we just knit, change the sequence. And you pay attention to your pattern so that you don't get lost. Like this, 3 above this white one, it should be in the middle, like this one. I knit the white one. Like this, and then again. 3 loops with our black thread, 2, 3. This is how you should have it, like this, like in a checkerboard pattern. Then we take a light thread. Very carefully, then here I have it, so that it doesn't get tangled here, I do it so slowly. So that you can see, then I usually sit down and knit quickly, like this. And then we knit with you again once, twice. 2, 3, like this, you see, like this. It's easy for me, there's still a difference between the needles, the one I knit with. I have 6 and the one I knit with is 4.5, then it's easier to knit, it's very. We don't tighten anything here, because if it's tight, our pattern may not turn out very well. So we don't need that, we knit 3, we return to our light thread. 1 again, we return to the dark one, 3 again. That's it, we knit like this to the end of the row, alternating. 3 loops with 1, in this pattern. We knit everything independently, we meet at the end of the row, I knit my third row. End. Now we get that one we knit black. The next one, so we knit black, that's how our row ends. That's how we knit it and then we remove our marker and now we start knitting with you in turn. The one that was black, we knit white, the one that was white, we knit black. Then black again, and here again white, black, white in turn. And we start doing this from this loop of ours. The first loop we knit with a light thread and then we look carefully, we don't confuse the threads, everything like this, 1, we knit like this. 1 white. The next black. The next black, and so we knit and turn to the end of our circular row. You get it in a checkerboard pattern, this is how it should turn out, you see, white, black, where there was white, black, white, black, white, there it is white, black, here is such a pattern, we continue to knit and turn through 1. I tie my row, yes, it goes in turn. Light and dark thread, I knit the last loops. And we start knitting our next row. Our next row is formed in the same way. As we knitted 1 dark, 1 light, but now we do it where there was white, light, we make dark. Where there was dark, we make light, we continue in turn. Now I will show you on another sweater what it looks like. So that you have in mind and like this. That is, we alternate 1, another, 1, another, and so we continue to knit with you to the end of our circular row. Alternating white and dark thread. Remember that we also alternated in the previous row. But here we just need to change the pattern where we had light. We make dark, where it was dark, we make light. Continue like this to the end of the row. Now we find with you here, we knitted this one and now we knit this one. The next row we will knit everything in a different color. Which is our main, lower one. Here we have dark, there we will go light. And so on we will continue to alternate, of course I will show everything. That is, now we are here, we perform through. We knit our pattern 1 by 1. Here I am finishing the 5th row through 1. You see how we knitted in a checkerboard pattern and the next entire row I have a light thread. Here is the entire row, the 6th row, now I will show you everything. I'm finishing the 5th row and the next 6th row, we'll knit the entire row with our light thread, like this. So we finish, we cast on. Like this you get in a checkerboard pattern and then we put on our marker and continue to knit all our loops with just light, front, light. Like this, and we knit the entire row with just light threads. Now I want to pay attention to you. I'm saying dark color and light color, but if you have a light one here and a dark one here, continue, like for example on my other sweater, like this. Then you just have to look that this is color 1, and this is color 2. I will write it in the description, I will not mark. As I said in the video, there is light, dark, because you can have light here. Here dark, or here dark, here light, it is at will. Then the top will be color 1, and the bottom will be color 2, so I will continue. And then I will continue to knit with color 2. The entire row in one color, color 2. That's it, we will meet at the end of the row. We will finish knitting this 6th row with a light thread. And then we will knit in this way, we will put on our marker. We will knit 3 loops in color 2 and the 3rd loop with this color first, and so we will knit 3 to 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. That is, I am now knitting with a light thread, this will be the 2nd. Then we knit 3 with the dark one, which we had at first. We will call it color 1. Here, and you have a reference point, whatever was convenient for you. Here we had the first check mark in color. Here it is light, then this dark loop is opposite this one. Like this, well, this is your reference point, if it goes the same way as mine, you did not change anything. Then you do it just like from the beginning of the row. 3 retreated, 1 dark, and then 3 light, 1 dark, if you have other colors. Then as you look at the diagram, your colors go. So we knitted 3 light colors, 1 dark, then 3 light colors again. This is where we are almost completely switching to a light color. And then we will continue to knit only with light colors. Well, we still have a few rows of our pattern. And we will switch to knitting only with light yarn. It will look like this. Now I will show you on another sweater, and we change in. Knit as we knitted at the beginning. Here is a light color and 3 dark colors. Now we have 3 light colors and 1 dark color. And we continue, 1, 2, 3, like this, and 1 dark color. That's it, orient yourself opposite this one. The first light color should be the first dark color. It's in this color, like this, that's all, we continue independently. In this color I will show, here I had the first dark and here the next light. You see, like this, then we knit this row 3 here. For example, dark, 1 light, 3 dark, and 1 light, in our case now 3 light. 1 dark due to the fact that we have a dark here a light color. I knit a row, now, 1 and 3. And the next color. Color number 2, like this. And color number 1, this is how we get it. And then we continue with color number 2. We continue to knit the entire row in one color. And this is our penultimate row. We will knit the next row in the same way as we knitted the previous one, only the dark ones in ours. In this case, these dark ones will be here in the next row. That is, now we knit all the loops of the light color, or color number 2, and we meet with you and knit later. The last row, we finish knitting our row. We knit the last loop, here we knitted everything in one color. And then we will knit our last row with you. I put on my marker, here we see. Here if we had a different color here. Then now it will be in the middle of these 3 loops. And then we continue to knit 1 loop of this color and change the color to another. Like this, you see, and this will be our last row. Jacquard pattern, that is, we first knitted our pattern, the openwork main one. Then the jacquard pattern, and in this way we switched from one color to another. And then in the same light we will continue with a light color or color number 2. Another option I have is dark, the second color is dark. That's all, and here we knit 3, here we change ours again. Another thread of a different color, like this, I'll knit a little with you. I think you already understand, you do, of course. You look at the diagram I drew. Like this, that's it, we continue on our own. We meet in the next row and we will continue to form our increase in loops. I'm tying everything. The last row is already the 9th, then we will knit only with thread number 2. Or in my version it's a light thread, so I'm cutting this thread. Well, I'm leaving such a longer tip so that later we can properly tuck it in. There were no problems, so in this version we took the black thread and left only the white thread. Then we continue everything with 1 thread, here I'm tying loops, that's it, we finished our jacquard pattern of 9 rows. In this way we went from one color to another. While I'm taking it away, while I'm taking the marker away, now I'll switch the knitting needle. Change to knitting needle 6. Turn 5.5 and then wheel U. Knit 1 row of the world. With a thread we simply knit in a circle and mark our raglan loops. Now we knit just a row in a circle, and for example, I knit the first loop and I will mark the next one as a raglan line. I knitted a row with front needles 5.5 just in a circle with front ones. Marked our raglan lines, here it is, for example, the first fell. Then the front, then, for example, U. Will go, the beginning of the circular row, like this, the first loop. The next one will be marked, and it is the black. Dark color, this is the raglan loop, then the sleeve loops, the sleeves. Then the dark color, again the raglan loop. Then there are the front loops and again the dark one. Raglan loop, you will have everything written for each size and you carefully mark. See how it is written and how in the video, and do the same. Then we will knit our raglan loop and increase the number of loops in every second row. That is, in this row we make additions. Increase our loops on one and the other side every 4 times in each raglan. In the next we knit all the loops with the front. I will knit several rows with you and then you knit to the required length of the raglan line yourself. We marked our raglan loops, and now the first, here is our raglan loop. And in the loop before the raglan loop, And behind it we will add loops from the row below. Here we have knitted the first one. Beginning the first loop from the bottom, we add a loop. It seems to me that this is the best way of adding. Right here, it looks very aesthetically pleasing. We did, then like this, we knitted a front loop. Knitted a front loop, and just from the row below. We went down and picked up a loop, and here we have it with you. Here is such an addition, one raglan loop and two loops behind it. You will see how cool this raglan line will look when you knit a few rows. Then we continue in the same way, we knit the sleeve loops. You knit independently and meet at another raglan line. I remind you, our knitting should not be tight. You should have the thread sliding along the knitting needles if it is difficult for you. Tighten, take the previous knitting needle with which you knit a size smaller. Then it will be very easy for you to knit and you will not tighten. It should be light, because the yarn, after washing it, should breathe, and it will be great when it is not tightened. Yes, and I have reached my raglan line. A loop with a raglan line, here it is, I knit this one with the front. Of course, and here carefully, let's look, here is this loop. Into which I add a loop, the outfit below, like this, and knit it like this. Front loop, front loop. And the outfit below, this is such beauty. Then we knit the loops of our front. Because I started, marked the sleeve, I knit the raglan. Sleeve, raglan line, then the front, after the front. The next sleeve and the back, well, the raglan line, we knit like this to the next raglan line. I show you again, and then you knit on your own. Tied to the next raglan line. Increased, increased, well, or rather increased, knitted front. Front, front, and that's it, that's it. That's how we make the increase in our raglan line. We continue to knit independently. We meet at the end of the row, and in the next row I'll show you, well, it's just very easy here. The next row we just knit all the loops front and that's it. And then I'll show you again on one version of the raglan line. How to continue, and that's it, and then you knit independently to the length that we need, there every 20 rows, or you knit 10 increases. Then you will read it in writing, we all meet at the end of the row, tied to the end of the row. I changed the marker and that's where we passed. Tied ours, we just knit all the loops face. That is, we do the addition in every second row. Here we just knit with face, it's very easy. Then we just knit in a circle with face and in the next row we again do the addition of loops. We knit everything in a circle with face, I'll meet again. I'll show you once again how to do the addition. And then you knit on your own. I tied the second row. I knit with face. And so we see, we have added another loop. And here is our raglan loop, we knit this with face. And we add in the loop before the raglan. The dress below our loop, and we knit like this. Then we knit our raglan loop. Front, we go down the dress below. We knit and that's it. Then we knit all the loops front to the next raglan line. So we get that our raglan line consists of our loop and the loop. That we make additions in front of it in these loops. Everything, we knit like this to the end, we knit, and here is our loop. Here is the loop in front of it, the dress below. We knitted this loop, the raglan loop, through. We knitted the front, the dress below went down. We knitted additionally, we increased everything and knit like this. We add, then the next row all the loops front and again we add and knit. We knit everything, we meet, when you knit the entire raglan line, we knit. We knit our raglan loop on the length we need, and yours. On your description for each size there will be its own number of necessary increases. And you will knit it like this, you will get that the row itself. When we started, we had the beginning of a circular row. Here and when increasing, our marker has shifted. Since we have these, the loops of the back. And now we are not knitting to ours. M of the circular beginning of a circular row, but we are knitting to ours, like this. Raglan loop and we will knit in turning rows. Asian sprout, that raglan loop that we marked, and here it remains. We refer to the sleeve loops when distributing the back and sleeves. This is how we knit with you now. We leave the raglan loop and knit 12 rows back and forth in turning rows to form the Asian sprout under. After that, we transfer the sleeve loops on one side and the other to an additional thread and leave it. That is, we refer the advertising line to the sleeve loops. Then we simply knit all the front loops. Remove our marker until we need it. When we are already connecting our sheepskin coat in a circle. That is, the front and back loops, then we will knit it again, and after. Now we just knit these loops to the end, like this. It will all look very nice. We leave our raglan loop. Here it is, it should be marked for you. Well, in principle, like I have, here it is central, and we leave it. And now we turn our loops and start knitting only on the loops of the back. And for convenience I have changed some of the loops on the fishing line, and you can do it now, or later, it doesn't matter. And I start knitting the loops of our back, just exactly 12 rows for all sizes. There will be the same number for all sizes. We knit our loops, I won't show you too much. You understand, you just need to continue this length just. On the loop of the back, knit our loops back and forth in rows. In reverse knitting. Now I will knit a little with you, so that there is understanding for those who are knitting for the first time, and that is, all the rest who will already understand and knit just 12 rows. Here is the back loop, I'm knitting, let's look carefully. Where we have our raglan loop, here it is, it's marked by you. Here it goes, here is the fourth. We refer it to the sleeves, and these three we still knit. That is, I knit 1, 2, 3, turn around. My knitting and start knitting the other side, that's it. That's it, here are the loops of our sleeves, including this raglan loop. We continue to knit all the front loops, edge removed. And like this we knit 12 rows, that's all, we'll meet When you knit all the rows, and we'll continue to change clothes. Sleeve loops and connect. The back and front loops for further knitting. Like this, I'll make a little explanation after. We knit the raglan line with you, we have sleeve loops, front loops, back loops, and 2 sleeves, then we need to divide along the raglan line into front sleeve and back loops, we attribute the raglan line. I'm repeating myself, but additionally attributed to the sleeve loops. We leave the front loops and don't knit on them, and only on the back loops we will knit an Asian sprout with you. Continuing to the height we need. Then we connect the loops to a fishing line or thread and connect when we knit to the required height. Connect the loops of our front and back and continue knitting. We leave the sleeves on an additional thread for now and return to them later. I knitted additional 12 rows. This is our Asian sprout to the required length, and then we will connect the back loops and the front loops with you. First we need to transfer our sleeve loops to an additional thread or oleska. On one side I have already transferred, and on the other side I will transfer with you. I have such an interesting leaf. And now we will drag our loops onto it. I remind you once again that we distribute the sleeve loops in such a way that the raglan line is on the side of the sleeve loops. Here are the sleeve loops and the raglan line here. These are the front loops. We leave it. This is how I put on the laisku very tightly. I just pull it out and pull it out further. Pull it out, pull it out, pull it out, and now, oh. I take off our temple and pull it out. Sometimes, like I try on all the time, I tie it in a knot like that. Then it doesn't come off. Well, in principle it doesn't come off anyway, so now we leave it like that, and then we start connecting the front and back. When we knit our Asian sprout, then the 12th row will be the front row. And we finish our knitting on the front side. And like that, now we start knitting in a circle. And between the connection of the back loops and the front loops we need to dial in additional loops. I add loops. Here is how the knitting needle. In the usual way, the required number of loops. This is how I add. We added the required number of loops. What number you have will be written in the description, in writing, and this is how carefully, we do not twist the thread, we connect the loops of the back. The loops of the front together, we tighten the thread a little so that there is no sagging here. And we knit our loops in a circle in front. We just knit with the front ones. Now our knitting will be in a circle with just the front loops for the required number of rows, then we knit and meet. In the same way we add loops between the front and the back. Additional loops, knit to the end of the row and meet. This is how you should get it. We knitted the loops of our front. Finished, and then we add our loops in the same way. This is where we now hang the marker. This is the beginning of our circular row. Just knitting them together. I remind you that here we do it a little bit so tight, then we knit, of course. everything. Now we continue to knit with you in a circle. Only with front loops in the required number of rows in order. To knit our sheepskin coat, knitting the sheepskin coat to a length that suits you, or just as I wrote in the description. We start knitting with you a 2x2 elastic band. Like this we knit to the length we need, and then later we switch to knitting a 2x2 elastic band with you and do the factory closing of the loops. Of course I will get back to you when I knit the required number of rows here, just in a circle with front loops and a. When I knit the elastic band I will get back to you in an additional video. You will watch how to close the loops of the elastic band. We continue to knit independently in a circle. I will knit with you a little to our connecting loops here, these. And I'll just show you how to knit them nicely, and then you knit everything yourself. And here we tied to our loops. If they're a little stretched like that, it's okay, well, then everything will tighten up when we shape our sleeves. And here we are like this, you see, it's twisted like this. And you just take it like this and tie it. Then this edge, it becomes more like this. Well, like this, and it's so thin. And then when you lift the loops, it will be convenient to do it. If it somehow doesn't look very pretty, it's okay, yeah. The same way, then when we lift the loops of our sleeves, like this, everything will be very neat. That's all. We continue knitting independently. We do the same with the other half. We knit and meet with you when we knit the required number of rows and form a 2x2 elastic band with you independently. I knitted the sweaters to the end. I didn't start returning to you anymore. Here's the elastic band. That is, when you knit everything and then just knit a 2x2 elastic band for the required number of rows, which is written in the description, and make such a beautiful factory closure of the loops. That's all. That is, I decided not to return to you anymore. Because, well, I think that I already understood how to knit the bottom of the sweater, smooth surface, elastic band, closure. Now we return to our sleeves. We change our loops on the knitting needles. In work we take knitting needles 5.5. I recommend with a sharper tip for the convenience of lifting the loops. But if it is convenient for you to lift them not very sharp, then that's fine. So, let's take our thread, leave a long end, and now we'll cast on loops with you. How to cast on loops on two sleeves, because they are cast on a little differently. Here is our last loop. We divided it into a raglan line, took it to the sleeve loops, and now here along the edge we will cast on loops. First here we have the loop that we went here, and we go down. Here we will show you now. This is our edge loop, here is ours. And here we will cast on this next loop like this, row after row. Before that, so that there is not a very big step, we need to raise our first loop. This is here. Here, then it will look very aesthetically pleasing and there will be no such steps. We raised our first loop and then our next loop, this one. We go down into the dress below and raise this loop. We raised 2 loops. Then we skip the next loop and raise it. Through 1 loop, again 2, 1, 2, we picked up our loops. These are our 4 loops. And here along our edge, on this sleeve, these are the loops of our sprout, like this. We already have 4 loops. The next one, look carefully. We skip this one, and the next 2 we pick up. We have 1, and here is a loop, 2. This is a total of 6 loops. We skip 1 again, the next one. We take our time, look carefully. 2, and in total we have 8 loops. This is how it turns out for us, we dial, and so on. We are already approaching our line, where we will be picking up loops here. And in the same way we skip 1. Once and here 2. We have chosen the required number. And then here are the loops that we will add to with you. This is how they go. And we will continue this loop, and here is the next loop. When we will add to here, then here. And now we put our knitting needle so nicely and look. That is, we need to do it first, so that there is no step. Add 1 loop here, and then we pick up loops with you. Once, 2, already as a continuation. 3, 4. You see, it goes just a continuation of our loops. 5. Carefully, look, 6, this way the back comes out very neat. After washing it will all be just perfect. Especially since this is the wrong side. Yes, we continue, here. And the next loop here. And in total we get 19 loops. And here we will be careful. Look and lift, then we need to continue, so that it is beautiful. Here we see our additional loop, and we continue here. The next one here goes like this. This is the 20th, the last loop here we lift up with you. So that it also coincides with us, here so that it is symmetrical. Now here we hang a marker with you, hang our marker and we get 23 additional loops. We continue to knit our sleeve in a circle. To the required length just with facial loops. Like this is how we dialed it up beautifully. This is how we lifted the loops, if you have something not very good there. Let's tighten everything or hem it so nicely. And this is how the lifting of our loops turns out beautifully. Then we continue to knit independently to the required length of our sleeve, and I will get back to you. When I make the decreases along the sleeve, we just knit our loops in a circle, we do not tighten. We remember what kind of yarn we have, it should slide very well. Here I come to where we have cast on our loops. I will knit a little more with you, we just knit. Then we will tuck this thread here nicely, it will not be visible. And we knit our loops, everything turns out very sloppy and beautiful. We just knit in a circle, like this. Here you can even do it a little like this, well, you don't have to tighten it. But so that there are not such very big holes like this. Then knit it more tightly, I would say so, then it will look like this. Very, very beautiful, but it's only in this row. And then knit very slowly, so that you have this yarn really fluffy. Then after washing it will become like this, it will open up. Fill the holes and will breathe. And it will be very beautiful. We knit everything in a circle to the required length. We read in the description to what length, and then I come back to you and we do the decrease with you. I show you how to do the decrease of our sleeve loops. That's it, we continue knitting in a circle. We knitted our sleeve to the required length. It will be written here in the description. And look, the number of rows of the sleeve itself. Maybe a short sleeve, I'll show you later, and try it on yourself and see how it looks. This product is very cool. When the sleeve is just long and the cuff fits on your wrist right here. Now you'll see everything. We knitted, as I said, to the required length. Knitted, I remind you with knitting needles 5 and 5, and now I'll move on. I knit these 2 loops and move on to knitting needles 5, another life hack and recommendation. Before we move on to knitting the elastic, knit 1 row of front stitches with the needles that we will knit the elastic with, to avoid, for example, a transition. When we have such loose front stitches in the first row of the elastic, then when you switch before knitting the elastic to 1 row, to the needles that you will knit with, for example, a size or half a size smaller, then your elastic will look very, very aesthetically pleasing from the bottom. Now I will show you. Here I did not switch and did not make this row of front stitches. And here are some front stitches that are of another size and do not look very neat. Of course, after washing I will tighten them. But now I will show you. I will re-knit how it will look. Already when you knit the first row before the elastic band with the same needles, the same number of needles that you will knit the elastic band with, we move to needles 5, change the needle. And we move and knit another row just with needles 5. The same way in a circle with the front ones, we all meet when we knit a row with the front needles number 5. We knit with needles 5 and start forming our elastic band. In some sizes the multiplicity of the sleeve loops is a multiple of 4. And you will need nothing from decrease, just knit an elastic band. We start with 2 front loops. Just knit an elastic band and that's it, and we'll start with 2 front loops. And for the one who doesn't come together, and the number of turns is uneven, you will need to decrease 2 loops. So I'll show you now, so as not to count the loops. I don't really like it myself. So we just start forming our 2x2 elastic band, 2 front, 2 purl loops, 2 front, 2 purl, and knit like this until the end of our circular row. When we get to the end, someone here will have 2 purl stitches in front of the front ones. And that's great, and then we don't need to decrease anything. We just continue, as I'll show, to form our cuff. And someone will get 2 purl stitches here. And here are 2 front stitches and again 2 front stitches, so these stitches will need to be decreased. I'll show you how to do it. We'll meet at the end of the row. Here I'm knitting and in my size it turns out that it's a multiple of 4. And the elastic band folds like this. You see, everything in turn, if you manage to get front in purl stitches here, then we take in. We do it like this. These 2 stitches we knit like this in this on this. Slope side in this, from this side we make a slope. And from this side we make a slope and knit 2, and you should get like this. Then hang the marker at the beginning, you get 2 purl stitches here. This is how you hang 2 front stitches and continue knitting. This is for those whose multiplicity does not match, for those who do, like me. We simply knit purl loops. Like this, that's it, that is, in this way there are fewer loops. Your multiplicity has matched, that's it, everything should be like this, 2 purl stitches, then 2 front stitches, or here 2 front stitches together. And then we continue knitting our cuff. From our marker, this is exactly this sleeve, which will be the front of our sweater, this is the front. This is how our sleeve looks, and this is how the beginning of the circular row will go. Why I repeat it, because in our other sleeve, it will be shaped a little differently so that you don't get confused. If you don't understand now, here you have the front of the sleeve. Lay it down like I lay it down, here. This is your front, this is your back, lay it down like this, take your sleeve from this side. And you should have the beginning of the circular row here. And then you shape this sleeve, then it will be convenient for you. And how we do it, I'll show you now. Knit 2 front stitches. We knitted 2 purl stitches, that is, 4 loops. And then from these loops we will form our slope, we knitted 1. I mean that these 2, and these. The next one, we turn the knitting like this and we will knit this one. Every second row we will decrease. Like this, constantly, then, now I decreased, but before decreasing, you need to be, will take. Count 6 loops and hang a marker, 1 here. Or rather 5 and in front of this eye loop, but we count then we hung the markers here and count, we count. We count 30 loops, 30 loops. And hang the marker again, and after 30 loops we will decrease again only in the other direction. Now I will show everything, that is, I do not hang the markers, you hang them, you have knitted 5 loops, 2 front, 2 purl, 1 front. Knit the next 2 loops together, take into account that this was the first loop that we just knitted, once later. Then we count everything we knit according to the pattern with an elastic band 2 by 2 2. 3 4 5 6 2 3 2 4 2 5 26 2 7 2 8 2 9, and here is our 30th loop only. I am now knitting it together, turning this side like this. With an inclination I am knitting this side like this, and this is how it is formed. Now we had 31 knitted and here 1 knitted, that is between the loops we have reduced 28 loops, and we continue to knit our elastic band with you in a circle. We knit all the loops just in a circle according to the pattern. Then we knit, when this row. The next row we simply knit according to the pattern, without changing anything. Here, where we, for example, decreased, you will get 2 front, 1 purl, and knit like that, that is, we knitted the first row, the next row. We knitted 2 front, 2 purl, 2 front, this is the one that we knitted together, here. We simply knit 1 voivorodny. Just carefully, again 2 front, and so we knit everything according to the pattern. In the next row we decrease again, and again I will come back to you. I will show you, and from now on you will simply do it constantly on your own. I knitted the second row, we start the third row, in the description you will have written how many rows you need to knit. We knit 4 again. We decrease the 5th loop and the 6th. Like this, here you should have a marker hanging on one. On both sides, as you like, so that you understand. That this will always be the direction of our inclination, we continue to knit according to the patterns. If in the next row you need to knit without changes, and you have 2 purl stitches, 2 front stitches, 2 front stitches. So you knit everything according to the pattern, and then in the next row you decrease. In every second row, every next loop, then the next. The next, we with the eye, this is our direction, and we decrease. Yes, we knit now to the next decrease loop. We knit independently, without me, we meet near the next loop. And here are our 2 loops and these. We all knit together in this direction. Like this, and this will be our direction of decreasing loops. And this is how we do every second row. Here we knit everything according to the pattern, that is, we have these loops. That we constantly knit, here the slope has gone. And we will make this slope on both sides, until here we meet in the middle. Where we have these loops marked, for example, here is our decrease row. 1, 2, 3 front rows, I marked, and here. And here is the decrease row, 1, 2, 3, and here is this one in the middle. Here we are, here we finish our decrease, we will not decrease these 6 loops. And we will get such a beautiful, beautiful pattern, as I showed you. It is not visible on the black, but here you see, the direction of our decrease line is going. Here it is on one side and here it is on the other side. Like this is how it will turn out for you. If you, here on the black I will show, if you decide to make a short sleeve. I am here, of course everything will be written in the description, but I will show you again. For example, you knitted here 15 to 12 rows, it will be better visible. Here we knitted on our loops. Thin sleeve and then we started to form our elastic band. Then in this case the number of loops between the decreases that we made 30 loops, then in a short sleeve it will be 22 loops. Why? Because the width of our cuff, if it is a short sleeve, it should be wider than the width of the long one on the sleeve, so between, if you are making a short sleeve, read the description carefully, but I will also explain to you that between the loops that we decrease on one side and on the other side, here there should be 22 loops. So I'm a little closer, here the slope went on one side. On the other side, here 22, if our long sleeve is asking. And you will have a cuff here on your wrist, then here you have 30 loops. And we decrease in this direction exactly the number that I will indicate in the description, read carefully. Then we just continue to knit our loops. Elastic bands and continue to decrease, as I showed in every second row. We do it all on our own. I'll come back to you a little later, I'll show you at the end how the elastic band turns out. I'll explain it more, because it's not visible in black as I would like to show you, so that everything is clear to you. We continue to knit on our own and decrease in this direction from both sides, in this direction are loops. And now I'm back to you and showing you how it should turn out. I also wanted to point out that if you have a little loop somewhere that you don't really like, then you just pull it up like this on one side. On the other, and that's it, you'll have a smooth edge, that's how we do it. Just correct it, and now I'll show you. I have the last loop left and this is how it should turn out. That is, these 2 loops here, we only have 2 loops left. Now we knit, and then you have 2 purl loops, front and purl. And this is how we finish our sleeve, knit the beginning of our round row. And These are the last two, we knit them together. Unfold, like this. And it turns out that on the needles there are 2 front, 2 purl, 2 front. Then we knit purl. Double crochet, 2 purl double crochet. And now we have switched to the elastic band, which is 2 by 2. All the last loop is ours. We knit together. Like this. This is how it turns out. We just continue to knit the elastic band 2 to 2 to the end of our row. Then we knit separately, we meet at the end of the row. Now I will return to the short sleeve, if you are going to make a short sleeve. Because it was not very visible on the black one, then now I will explain. Here we have 6 loops left with you after the last connection on the knitting needles. We should also get the same in our version with a short sleeve only. The difference is that the elastic itself will be a little smaller, and the number of loops. In general, if here we counted 30 with you, then in our version of the short sleeve we will need to count 22. That is, we take 1, 2, 3, 4 from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4 from this side, and the slope will not be this elastic. But this slope, the next one, these in. That is, between our loops there will be 22, this is so that the cuff itself is wider. And in the same way you reduce these 22 loops until you have 6 loops left on your knitting needles, that is, in the long sleeve there are 30 loops and 6. In the short sleeve 22 loops and 6, it will be the same in all sizes. So you do this and you get a very beautiful cuff. We knit to the end of our circular row and meet. This is how it will look and the sleeve is short after the end. Here I have already closed the loops and this is how beautiful this slope is. Well, of course it is not very visible on the black yarn, but you can see. This is how the sleeve looks beautiful. This cuff is shorter. But if you wish you can extend it, but it seems to me that this is exactly what is needed, and here I knit the row to the end. The next row we knit 1 row, well how, the row with which we finish the very decrease of the rows. This last one must be knitted here. Because this loop, so that everything is beautiful for us, because here I showed you. You see that sometimes when we knit, the direction of the loop gets lost. Then you just pull it up. Everything, and then we just knit with a 2 by 2 elastic band, continue knitting. I repeat once again, you can knit the last. This row and 2 more and close, or a little more. If you want, you can knit more and just see how it looks on your hands, if you like it. Then make it longer, if not, then just do it as I show. Like this, that is, I'm now knitting this row. And I'm also knitting 2 elastic bands in a circle and I'll close the loops. I'll come back to you, show you, and you'll watch the closing in an additional video. And so I knitted, the marker took everything away. And here it came out, you should get it exactly like this, now I'm just going to show you. That we tighten here, if it's too long, then it's better to drag it here. So that you have a very nice edge. Like this, so that the edge is even, nice, beautiful. because then everything looks very, very aesthetically pleasing. Then you need to correct it there, where, for example, you may have a slope somehow. And here is also the yarn with sequins, so it may cling a little, then you do everything nicely like this. Everything, and we will do the closure, so I wanted to show you how it turns out when not stretching. Like this, knitting a little, and if you want, you can make it a little longer. But it seems to me that this is how it looks very nice after closing. This is exactly how our closure, our cuff will look. And because we will be closing the elastic band 2 to 2, and it will tighten a little more like this and will look very beautiful. We are still closing the loops, the video is in the additional file. Let's go back to our other sleeve. I have already changed our loops to knitting needles 5.5. And now we will cast on the same way as we did with that sleeve. But in mirror image, because we cast on with you along the long edge, where we have an Asian pattern. Where we knitted, here we cast on the other side. Where we ended the cast on in that sleeve. Our thread, and if you don't remember, I remind you that we need to cast on 23 loops, and here we cast on 3 loops with you. Then each loop, and then 2 loops through 1. So now let's look, carefully, how you should start. Here are your loops that you will cast on, here, here. And here is the next one loop, here. Into which you need to cast on your own STS along this edge. We remember that here we cast on 3 loops with you, and now we do it like this. Here is our edge, here is the loop, now I will pick it up like this. I will pick it up carefully so that you can see, here and here is the next row after the edge. Now we pick up 3 loops in a row in it. And we do it like this, pick up into the loop that we have next after the edge, here. Here we take, do 1, 2 and 3. That's it, this is how we picked up our loops, then we have to pick up the loops here. 1, 2, and go down, here is our loop. And it's just very nicely our loops are picking up. Here, you see, there is no big step here, just 1 loop, so we picked up 3. 4 here and went on to pick up 5 in turn. This is how you should have it, you can even tighten it a little, 8. Here we look carefully, so that everything goes in order. 9. Our next loop, here it is, 10. And here we look very carefully, we need to go to the row that comes after the edge, here is our edge, here is the next row, so it is this row where we will pick up loops with you, we are now in. Here, then we need to go to the next loop. And here we look, where it is, here, we pick up 1 more, here we have dialed. And here we immediately insert and see, this is our edge, the next one we have 1, 2, and then we go through 1 loop with you, we skip 1, the next one, 1, 2. We skip the same, the next one. 1, 2, here it is straight, let it be tight so that you pick up with the tip of the knitting needles, then here we take. Skip, 1, 2. Skip, 1, 2, count it, you should. Get even more, we'll pick 23, a total of 23 loops, here count from the very beginning. Here I have 21 loops and we're already looking here. And here for example we choose this maybe loop. Well here let's take turns here this loop and the next loop. We've all dialed 23 loops with you. Here just look how it's better to have less holes and that's it, everything and here we connect, count the beginning of our circle with you, we'll have the cuff here. We had it in mirror image, like on this sleeve, of course I'll show you everything. So now we just start knitting in a circle here. And here we hang our marker, now I'll knit. That is, we just dialed additional loops and then everything in a circle. As we already knitted with you, we knit with facial loops. This is how it turns out. Everything is very beautiful, everything is very neat, it matches the previous sleeve. Now I will show you how it looks when it is already made. I will show you how you can see, when it goes like this, it is straight along this line. Such a beautiful transition, loop to loop. And here like this, we lift, here are our first 3 loops. That we lifted, and this is how our sleeve looks very beautiful, and we remember with you that right here we had the beginning of our circular row. And we knitted in a circle and here it was in. We stepped back with you and here was the beginning of the circular row and we knitted a little. And started to make our slope. So that we had it just on the front side of our sleeve. Then we will do the same with you with the next sleeve in mirror image. Tied here. Hung our marker. Now I will knit a few loops. 1, 2, 3, we definitely pull the thread. We can even twist it there, and then we'll tuck it in, like this, and that's it. Now we continue to knit in a circle with you. To the length you need for our sleeve, which you will make, for example, long or short or medium. It doesn't matter, and then we form the cuff. Now I'll give you a little explanation, and you continue to knit just in a circle of the front. The previous sleeve, here was the beginning of the circular row, and this is how I put our cuff. And from the beginning of the circular row it was formed here, the slope. We made a decrease of 2 loops with a slope to the left, and then here. We also reached the difference with a slope to the right, and we did this to the required length. Until we had 6 loops left on the knitting needles. We did this in both the short sleeves and the long sleeve, the difference is only in the number of loops. Now I'm showing the sweater from the other side. And here we have the beginning of the circular row, and just like that. Here we will knit in a circle, Circle, and now we will need to shape at the end of our circular row. And the first one we will do in this direction, again shape this kind of slope. Of course, I'll come back to you when I knit the length of the sleeve. In this version I'll show you a short one, so as not to knit a long sleeve. I'll show you how to form a short sleeve with light yarn. And you just knit already and as you plan, as you want. Which one you want to knit, long, short, medium. But here I'll just show you again so you don't get confused. How to form the sleeve itself, the cuff width. In mirror image, that is, here we go like this. Here we will go in the other direction, so that it looks very neat. You all knit our sleeve to the length you need and meet. We will form the cuff of the other sleeve, and we start forming our cuff. I made this sleeve, for example, short. And now I'll show you, here we knit on. Or long, there's no difference, now we're going back to the cuff. Here is our beginning of the circular row. This is how our general the raglan loop was here, and here is our beginning of the circular row. And if we started the previous sleeve with 2 front stitches and continued with 2 to 2 elastic bands. Then on this side of the sleeve we start our circular row with a purl stitch. Purl and we are in a mirror relationship. That is, there we knitted with the front and ended with the purl. Here we start with the purl and end with the front, our row in a circle. That is, now we are starting to form 2 purl. 2 front and 1 row we are just knitting with a 2x2 elastic band and immediately. In this row we mark like this we did there at the beginning of the circular row. Here we are doing at the end of the circular row, we do not reach. We do not reach our marker 2 front, 2 purl and 2 front. And with the previous front we will form a slope in this direction and here in this direction. That is, now once again we are starting to knit a 2x2 elastic band with you from 2 purl. We knit it in a circle. We reach and mark the loops that we will decrease, mark them in such a way that we retreat from the marker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops and hang the marker on the front. Retreat 22 loops or 30. Depending on the length of the sleeve and hang our marker. And now we will be here where our loops, where our marker. Do the front loops again as we did. The decrease in the same way only at the end of our circular row. Now I will knit a little with you and then you. Do everything as we did in the previous sleeve. That is, I knit. Change and knit a row. To our marker with our 2 to 2 elastic. We knit the wrong side. Facial, that's it, we get to this marker and meet. Knit, that is, you understand. You knitted 1 row simply as a setting row. Purl facial, and here we marked with markers, so I showed. The next in the second row of our elastic we will form a decrease. That's it, we continue knitting in a circle, we meet here, I knit our marker purl. Facial and on this side, here, now I'll hang a little lower. Here I knit this facial with this purl. Together. Knit and already form a slope. Then I knit all the loops in the same way according to the pattern. Here purl. I reach the next marker. Knit purl, purl, turn, 1 purl, turn. This front one is at the correct angle and knit them together. It turns out that the loops that we marked, we again make an angle here, an angle here. We continue to knit our loops according to the pattern as our elastic goes. We knit this row in a circle and start. The next row and again this row we knit simply according to the pattern. We make decreases in every second row. That is, we simply knit our elastic band in a circle without changes. We continue knitting, we will meet here. I will show you how to knit and another next row I will show you how to decrease and that's it. Then you can continue on your own, and so I come to our marker and I simply knit according to the pattern. If everything goes according to plan here 2 purl, 2 front, 2 purl, then here we knit 2 front. Carefully watch the slope of the loops, because you will have such steps. It's okay, then carefully correct everything, do it like this. Tighten this loop, then the next one. So and so, next, and here's the magic, everything is smooth. Then you have 1 purl stitch, just carefully, because we reduced the previous one and knit. Here everything is unchanged, just according to the pattern. 2 purl stitches, 1 stitch, 2 front stitches, 1 purl stitch, 2 front stitches and continue. Just according to the pattern, everything is as we knit the next loop in the same way, we just knit everything. Here 1 purl stitch, here 2 front stitches and that's it, we knit in a circle, we meet here. Again we knit these 2 loops together, knit, knit. And again we knit these 2 loops together with a slope to one side. Here to this side, and we knit our cuff. That is, you should understand that the formation of the cuff of one sleeve starts from the beginning of the circular row with an indent of 5 loops, and then we form a difference of 30 or 22 loops between them, depending on the length of the sleeve. And we form the other sleeve at the end of our row and start, indent from on this side 5 loops, and here we form our decrease. This is the most important thing. Well, then I will knit more, here we will meet. Once again I will show you how to knit them, and then I already think that you will all be able to knit it yourself. And here I come again to our we knit row, where we decrease, knit, here leave a marker. You can hang it closer, you can hang it here, wherever you are more comfortable. Do it as you are comfortable, not as I am, as you are comfortable, as you see. So as not to get tangled, turn the loop. If you have it knitted like this, so that it is not crossed, we leave the purl like this, and in this direction we will do. We make a decrease with you again, like this, we will knit further. Everything according to our vision. If here the front, even, then the front. Front, purl, we knit everything to the next loop. And we knit all the loops as we have them, just the front. Purl. Like this, and here we get to our loops. Decrease, we knit purl loops. If they are turned out somehow wrong, they should be like this, at this angle, and that's it. Knit them together again. That's it, then knit everything according to the pattern. If in the next row you need to knit 2 purl loops, 2 front loops, 2 purl loops, then you should understand that this is you. It turns out thanks to our decrease. That's it, we continue to knit and shape our cuff to the end. You get the same cuff on the other side. The same as here, your direction will be like this, here the slope will be like this. In mirror image, the tuft will be here, here it will go here, that's how you applied it. Look, everything is fine, we finish everything, we knit to the end. When we have left here 6 front loops and 2 purl loops before our decrease, we start to close our loops, we do everything as I showed on that sleeve. If you want you can make it a little longer, it also looks very beautiful, aesthetically pleasing. This is the end of our tutorial. Knit with pleasure.